All right, I'm going to tell you about my experiences with food science in Fission 101. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the Maillard reaction. So the Maillard reaction is the reaction between sugars and proteins that happens on the outside of certain foods. This causes browning when heating is applied and gives us that nice golden color that we're looking for in foods such as French fries, or that brown color that we're looking for with baked goods such as bread, cookies, and cakes. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is fats and oils. So fats and oils have a variety of different applications in food science, but they do have some pretty important differences at the molecular level. So fats are solid at room temperature, like butter, as you can see, and they're made primarily of saturated fats. So the special thing about saturated fats is that they contain a line of single bonded carbon atoms, and that's the only thing that makes them up. In contrast, oils are typically liquid at room temperature, and they're made primarily of unsaturated fats, which contain some single bonded carbon atoms, but contain at least one double bonded carbon atom, which makes them more flexible and contributes to their liquid or unsaturated existence. So fats and oils can be used differently in baking specifically because fats tend to lead to a stiffer dough that's going to spread out in the oven, like for example, cookies. On the other hand, oils typically allow for a dough to be thinner and more moldable, like in cakes, which allows that cake to rise more than a cookie, which tends to just spread out. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is refined sugars. So refined sugars are simply sugars that are removed from their natural source. So this is practically all sugars that we used in baking, but two that we're going to really look at are granulated sugar and high fructose corn syrup. So these are very common in nearly all processed foods. They work as a preservative, they work as a sweetener, and they're very, very easy to get. They're digested rapidly as carbohydrates, and it's recommended that you don't consume more than 25 grams a day for women and more than 37 grams a day for men. All right, next we're going to talk about fermentation. So fermentation is the use of bacteria and time to develop unique flavors and textures. It's an anaerobic reaction, meaning it doesn't use oxygen, and it increases the nutrition value of certain foods. So it's all around us. I guarantee that each one of us has eaten a fermented product within the last day or two. So this includes vinegar, beer, yogurt, some cheeses, sourdough bread, and a lot of other things that we typically think of as having a very tangy taste, which is what fermentation provides. All right, so finally, we're going to talk about dehydration. So dehydration is used when foods are dried using heat and ingredients that kill microbes. So this decreases water activity and moisture content and consequently allows for a longer shelf stability. And the main ingredient that's used to dehydrate as well as that heat is salt. So foods that are made with dehydration include jerky, fruit leather, my personal favorite, freeze-dried strawberries, and you can even dehydrate herbs, which just you would take the water out of them, and that gives us dried herbs that we have in our kitchen cabinets. All right, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned a little bit about food science in Fission 101.